In March of 2011, a popular revolution began in Syria against the rule of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Just as in Libya, the protest turned into a violent rebellion, with extremists from all over the world entering into Syria and putting up an armed resistance against al-Assad's regime.
ولنجعلن الأرض والله تقذف جثثهم والله. الله حياك. لا رحمة للكفرة وخونة أبو بكر الصديق. ويحكم 5% سندوسكم في بقرنا.
رسالة من أبو حفص. وين رحت؟ رسالة إلى الشعوب العربية المسلمة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله ليس الحمد لكم يا عباد أمريكا وروسيا، يا خنتم الشعب السوري والمجاهدين. ألا تعلمون إن شعبا قادر أن يتحدى العالم كله؟ أنتم تضحكون علي. أين صواريخ ساتريلا وإيجلا التي تقذف هذين الشياعات؟ أنتم خونة وخنتم الله والرسول. والله لنقاتل بالسيوف، لنقاتل بالبنادق، لنقاتل في الحجارة. والله إنا منتصرون ونقطع رؤوسكم بهذه السيوف. هذه بلاد الشام اللي وعد بها رسول الله. إن الملائكة تبسط أجنحتها في بلاد الشام. إن الملائكة تبسط أجنحة بلاد الشام. اغربوا عنا، نحن سنجاهد، نساؤنا ستجاهد، أولادنا ستجاهد.
سوريا جيش هو الهليكوبتر shot down.
خلايف وين؟
نحن وصلنا الطيارة تقريبا. Let's go get them. يلا. شيشاني. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
هليكوبتر.
Blast these fools. We're gonna smoke them. Every day, all day.
هدي عمالة هدي بتجنح الحالة شيشاني. مشان الضجة تروحنا.
Smoke them.
هدي جت الطيارة انهزموا.
تكبير!
الله أكبر!
تكبير! الله أكبر!
هنود!
Bashar al-Assad, this is what's left of your air force. Bashar al-Assad, halas. Kusum Bashar al-Assad, Kusum Shabiha. Surya Jays, Kusum. Allahu Akbar.
Your mother knows where you are?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
What did she say about what you're doing?
I remember I called my mother once. I told her I'm going on operation tomorrow. She said, make sure you're not at the back. Go to the front. I don't think my mother loves me that much. No, I'm joking. Yeah, she must love me for to say that. You know, alhamdulillah, she understands.
These different militant groups and extremists would soon unite under the banner of the so-called Free Syrian Army, also known as the FSA. Once again, the United States and its allies began to support and arm the rebels, just like in Libya, just like in Afghanistan. And if George Santayana's statement holds any truth, then be sure that this will eventually backfire once again against the United States.
يعني نحن بشكل عام أخي نحن مسلمين، الشيء اللي بيجمعنا هو راية لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله، وخرجنا في سبيل الله. هذا شيء الجميع نجمع عليه إنه خرجنا في سبيل الله. لذلك أخي بنقصنا مشان النصر، مشان بإذن الله يأذن لنا بالنصر هو الإخلاص في النوايا. خرجنا في سبيل الله إذن لإعلاء كلمة الله ولتحكيم شرع الله في الأرض. ورفع هالراية راية رسولنا الكريم. وقت بيكون هالموضوع قول وفعل إنه نحن خرجنا لإعلاء كلمة الله قول وفعل، ولرفع راية الإسلام قول وفعل، هي وقتها بإذن الله بيكون بإذن الله أنا بظن النصر قريب. وبدك تقول لي إنه نتفرق؟ لا أخي، هذا الشيء اللي بيجمعنا. نحن الشيء اللي بيجمعنا هو هالراية، وما رح ننتصر غير وقت بدنا نرفع. وبإذن الله هاليوم قريب، وترى شايفينه يوم عن يوم عم يقرب أكثر كثير. وهون بس بدي أوجه رسالة صغيرة، بدي أقول لأمريكا ولدول الغرب الكافر كلهم، نحن بدأنا جهادنا هون بأرض الشام، وما رح ننتهي غير بأراضيكم. جهادنا بلش هون، وبإذن الله ما رح ينتهي جهادنا غير بأراضيكم، ولا ترتفع هالراي بإذن الله فوق البيت الأبيض بإذن الله تعالى.
This is not a pro-Syrian film. This film does not support Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, nor those supporting him, nor those opposing and fighting him. Rather, it is a warning of what is to come and a wake-up call for all of those who are in deep sleep. In December of 2012, security officials from the United States, United Kingdom, France, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and Jordan met with commanders and representatives from the FSA to elect a 30-person military council. Although sources prove that these nations have been covertly funding and providing logistical support for the FSA since 2011, the collaboration became more apparent in May of 2013 when Senator John McCain from the United States secretly entered into Syria to meet with the FSA to hold meetings with its commanders to try to enforce a no-fly zone in Syria, while the FSA requested anti-aircraft support and heavier weaponry for the rebel group.
Let there be no doubt that the threat of chemical weapons is real. I note this morning's headline from the Associated Press, and I quote, Israel's military intelligence chief says Syria's Assad readying to use chemical weapons. Madam President, I ask unanimous consent that that article be included in the record from the Washington Post.
Without objection.
Meanwhile, Russia continues to ship heavy weapons to Assad, including, as senior Obama administration officials have stated, the very helicopter gunships that the regime is currently using to bomb and shatter civilians. As the United States and the international community stand idle, the consequences are clear. Syria will become a failed state in the heart of the Middle East, threatening both our ally Israel and our NATO ally Turkey. Where Bashar al-Assad believes he is winning on the battlefield, he has no incentive to stop fighting and negotiation. Our European powers, led by the French and British, seem to understand this clearly, which is why they are urgently working to persuade their allies to lift an embargo on supplying arms to the Syrian opposition. They understand that only a change in military power will bring this conflict to an end. The Syrian opposition needs our help to change the balance of power on the ground. I've had the honor of meeting one of the key leaders of the Syrian opposition, led by a named Sheikh Al-Khatib, the president of the Syrian National Coalition. Sheikh Al-Khatib and the National Coalition are doing everything the international community asked of them. They've worked to bring together credible, moderate members of the Syrian opposition. They're building institutions, both civilian and military. And while the United States and our partners deserve credit, in helping and pushing them to do so. When the opposition coalition asked responsible nations for support, when they asked us to help them in coordinating the distribution of aid, governing the liberated areas, and ultimately forming a transitional government, when they ask us for this assistance, what have we done for them? Next to nothing. Beyond providing arms to the opposition, we have other capabilities at our disposal that could make a decisive difference on the ground and save lives. I'll just give you two examples. NATO has deployed Patriot missiles batteries in Turkey that are capable of shooting down Syrian aircraft as far south as Aleppo. We could establish a limited no-fly zone using these systems, and believe me, after the first few Syrian aircraft are shot down, I doubt Assad's pilots will be lining up to fly missions anymore. Another option would be just to destroy Assad's aircraft on their runways with cruise missiles and other standoff weapons. Either way, we can take Syrian air power off the table.
Later sources proved that the group Senator John McCain met with were responsible for kidnappings of Shia pilgrims.
So I know that you are a member of the Foreign Relations Committee. The question is, what do you think is the top priority in terms of foreign affairs for the United States?
I think the top priority for the country, constitutionally, historically, and appropriately, is defense of the country. That's what we're supposed to do in Washington. That being said, Reagan's motto was peace through strength. It wasn't war through strength. There are some, sometimes in our party, who mistake war for defense. And if you don't believe in eternal and perpetual war, it doesn't mean you don't believe in a strong national defense. And this is an important distinction. There are some in our party who wanted to give arms to Gaddafi, and then a year later wanted to give money to rebels to overturn Gaddafi. There's a certain inconsistency. I'm very worried about getting involved in a new war in Syria, and people say, well, Assad is such a bad guy. He is. But on the other side, we have Al-Qaeda and now Nusra. And then they say there are some pro-Western people, and they say, oh, we're going to vet them. Well, apparently we've got a senator over there who had a picture taken with some kidnappers, so I don't know how good a job we're going to do vetting those who are going to get the arms. So there's two ironies you have to overcome if you want to get involved in the war in Syria. The first irony is you will be allied with Al-Qaeda. The second irony is most of the Christians are on the other side. So you may be arming Islamic rebels who may well be killing Christians. Does that make Assad a good person? No. I don't think there are any good people in this war. And there's some tragically innocent people who are going to be caught in the middle, but I just don't know that arming one side is going to make the tragedy any less. So I think we need to be careful and cautious.
It has become absolutely clear that there is a strong support for the extremists from all over the world that make up the FSA by the Western nations, mainly the United States.
بعضهم أولياء بعض ومن يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم إن الله